This is Mike Groth demonstrating the Royal Enfield motorcycle. He's just ridden from South Australia to here. And there it goes. Can you diagnose very much just from the sound of the motor? Right. You're lubricating the chain, I guess.
Yeah. Running on its surface loop with the side joints, and the actual cores are, it's an O-ring chain, so it's
Right.
It's not like the old-fashioned chains you used to have to pull off every 1,000 miles and boil up in oil and grease.
Right.
Thank goodness.
Okay. How does this differ from the design of most modern bikes? Is it lighter?
I think it's probably a heavier frame. Its relation to power and that, it's not as powerful as most modern bikes.
Right.
It's a workhorse motorbike. It's been designed for off-road work as well as on-road work. It's not like a triumph bike, which is quite lighter.
Yep.
It's designed to be ridden on the roads. It's designed to carry heavy loads, and it's designed to go for rough country.
So it's like a dispatch rider's bike.
Design was originally built for the Indian Army.
Okay.
Well, the original Bullet was designed as a workhorse motorcycle.
Right.
The factory was built in India in 1955 by the Royal. They set up the Royal Enfield Company of India in 1955.
Yep.
A bit like a lot of the, I think the Austin and British Motor Corporation set up the, Indian company and made things like the Ambassador, which was, the old Morris, the Austin Cambridge, I think, and they called it the Ambassador.
Right.
But it was the same car.
Now, Royal Enfield, does that bear any relationship to the Enfield rifles of
I think
Warfield?
it was the Enfield Bicycle Company.
Yeah.
And in 1906, they obviously must have got a royal warrant.
Yeah.
Because they changed the name to the Royal Enfield Motorcycle Company. Was created. And you wouldn't have been able to use, in 1906, you would not have been able to use the name Royal without the King's permission.
Okay.
You would have needed some sort of royal warrant to do that.
Okay.
So they obviously had that.
Why the car key finish? Is that something to do with army usage?
Well, the original factory was built. That has actually damaged. The temp bag has damaged the.
Oh.
Has damaged the tank.
Okay.
More the grip nut on. No, the original Royal Enfield from 1936, the original Enfield Bullet, was a black, if you see them, they were black with like a white patch there.
Yep.
The Army used to ride a lot of them, and I think these were the colours designed for the Army.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was standing back so you can do that.
No worries.
I'm sure you'll cut all that out.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing I've got to do is check the tire pressure, which are quite critical.
Right.
So I just think this was a colour scheme for the Army. The factory was set up in India in '55 to make motorcycles for the Indian Army.
Right, okay.
And I believe the Indian Army and the Indian Police still ride them.
Okay.
They are bikes that handle rough country. They'll go over very rough roads.
Yes.
Because they've got big wheels, good ground clearance. They are not fast. They are designed to handle rough country. They're a good workhorse motorbike.
Right.
As you see, it's only got a single seat. It does have pegs for a pillion. You can get a pillion seat on it.
Yeah.
But most modern bikes come with, of course, the big log seats.
Yes.
This is the old-fashioned tractor, what I call the tractor seat, and it's got, normally it's just a padded leather seat,
Right.
but it's got the air hawk seat with it. I'm going to have to
Now, what are your controls here? You've got the...
well, you've got just an ignition switch,
yeah.
and everything, and it basically turns everything off. A speedo, that's the usual thing. That's a fuel warning light. When you get down to 3.5 litres left in the tank, it'll come on. Unlike old bikes, we used to have a reserve tank, you know, where
Yes.
the petrol, usually they draw fuel out of one side of the tank.
Yeah.
And when you got down to the point where you drained that, you'd always have the fuel left in the hump of the other tank, so you had a couple of litres of fuel left.
Okay.
And when you started to run out of fuel, you turned the tap on and changed over. This one has a little float valve. I think you can see it down here or something. There's a switch here,
Okay.
which senses a little float valve, which when it gets down to, will tell you when that goes out. The light comes on, starts flashing. You've got 3.5 litres of fuel, which is about 100 kilometres.
Okay.
You get about 30 litres to the kilometre, 30 kilometres to the litre. So that's about 3.3 litres per 100 kilometres, which 90 miles a gallon, just under.
Right.
That's what it did coming over to Adelaide.
Yep.
The usual other controls. These days it's all standardised on motorcycles, all standardised controls. Throttle, twist, front brake, clutch, gear lever on the left,
Right.
1 down, 4 up.
Right.
Down to first gear, neutral, and 4 gears up.
Okay. And you've got roll bars on this too, I see.
A crash bar, yeah, mainly to protect your legs, and also the other advantage is that if the bike falls over, it's easy to pick up. It lands on that rather than all the other bits.
Right.
Problem with a lot of modern bikes, all the fancy fairings, they fall over, it costs you thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And a lot of information's in the fairings. And no two model, and the next model of bike has different fairings, doesn't it?
Yes.
This bike's designed to take a lot of punishment.
Right.
And on the other advantage is that if it falls over on the right hand side, you don't have your leg pinned under a very hot exhaust pipe,
Ooh, yes.
which is very hot.
Yeah.
The
I
other-
noticed when you came here yesterday, after a trip of several hundred kilometres, that there was heat radiating out of all of the front of
Well,
this.
it is an air-cooled engine.
Oh, I
It
see.
relies, and in fact, one of the things that in hot weather you don't let it idle for long periods because it will overheat.
Okay.
It relies on forced air cool. On most modern bikes, liquid cooled with radiators and all the rest of it. This
Yep.
is an old-fashioned air-cooled engine. But the main advantage is that protects your. If it falls over, you can get your leg out from underneath it.
Yes. Yes.
I have seen what happens when if a bike falls over at low speed. If your leg is trapped,
Yep.
you can't get it out because of the weight of the bike's on it, on your
Yes.
ankle, and that thing will burn right through to the bone.
Yes, I can imagine.
That's very nice.
Now, Mike has taken a high-quality video of most of these trips with a GoPro camera,
And,
which comes out of this box here.
and the GoPro mounts on a little suction cup on the petrol tank. You just push it down, hold that down,
Looking forward.
and now unfortunately the stand broke as I arrived here, but
There's the camera in its plastic housing.
now should go the other way. I would have already put that up. Unfortunately the lug broke on my other fitting, but essentially the GoPro just mounts here. Slide in. And photographs the road ahead over the top of the speedo.
Okay.
You can actually read the speedo. You can read the speed you're doing, and it's remarkably good. And the other thing which I found very valuable is to have
just in case
tether on it, because the very first time I tried, well, the second time I tried it, I put them out on the handlebars. There was far too much vibration. This works much better. But the second time I tried it, I was riding over to Primrose Sands. I got 3/4 of the way across the Tasman Bridge and noticed this starting to wobble a bit, and the next thing it fell off.
Oh.
So I had a couple of minutes of video photographing my hand on the throttle and the clutch in high resolution, well focused.
Yes.
The only problem is that I discovered doing the Great Ocean Road, the salt spray got on the lens and made it a little bit fuzzy.
Yes. And there's the GoPro
camera. It has a remarkably good field of view. It usually just picks up the edge of the GPS, which sits here, which is not here at the moment. There is a GPS which then talks to my helmet, which is very useful finding your way through Melbourne.
Right. I can imagine for anybody not used to Melbourne.
Probably soon Adelaide if you weren't used to Adelaide. At least I know where they're at, right?
Yeah.
But it's proved very useful. And the GPS seems to know what it's doing.
Yep. So you have GPS as well as the GoPro going, and presumably the GPS is talking to you through headphones.
The GPS talks to me through. It does have an outlet, and somewhere under here where the cables are, there's actually a couple of plugs you could plug a headphone into.
Yep.
Somewhere in there in the cabling loom in behind the headlight, I managed to tap into there. No, the GPS has Bluetooth, which will talk to a little part of the intercom on the side of the helmet.
That G9 thing.
What do they call it? Scala Rider.
Right.
One of the more popular makes. And with these you can talk to another motorcycle within a mile.
Okay. There are headphones built into that.
There's headphones. There's actually little earphones been installed.
Okay.
And it's fit under the flaps there.
Okay.
And a little boom microphone, which is you stick, and you can, if you make I can set the mobile phone up to link to the GPS.
Yep.
So that when a call comes in, an icon appears on the GPS. You touch the icon, and you answer the phone call and carry on a conversation. It's extremely good, except that it doubles the power consumption of the phone with the Bluetooth connected.
Oh, right.
And also, I don't really want to be able to make calls while I'm riding. I just think it's a bit like operating a mobile.
A bit rude.
And the real advantage is that if you stop to make a call, and you want to press a call, you press the button, the keypad of the phone actually appears on the GPS.
Right.
You don't need to take your helmet off. You rang me up and I went to answer the call, then realised I had a helmet on.
Yeah.
So I had to leave you hanging on while I removed my helmet.
Okay. So it's a high-tech system you've got here with the full video, the GPS and the communication system potentially.
And it works well. I normally don't have the voice on.
Yeah.
It was only when I got to Melbourne. But the other advantage is the GPS sits and gives a display as if it was someone in a helicopter sitting about 100 metres behind you and about 100 metres up.
So you're following the road ahead.
And it shows you exactly the road. As you slow down, the scale of the map gets bigger, and it shows you the actual intersection. If it's a roundabout, it shows you a little arrow going around the roundabout and which arrow to go out.
Yes.
So although it might say take the second exit or the third exit, it actually shows you exactly when you come to an intersection, and it tells you the distance you've got to go before you get there.
Okay,
and
so
it's
this is
within a few metres.
This is a description of.
And if you ignore its instructions, it immediately recalculates and tells you how to get back to where you're going.
So that's the Royal Enfield motorcycle. There's the camera that's looking forward. Now let's have a look at some of Mike's video from that camera.